Welcome, friends, and thank you for joining me today. Now, as many of you already know, I suffered for years from severe anxiety, and little did I know, many of the habits that I developed in my life were contributing to my anxious state of mind. Even though I was seeing a healthcare practitioner, no one asked me about or told me how lifestyle choices that I was making could actually be contributing to my anxiety. The message I received was, well, Tiffani, your brain is broken, or your neurochemistry is off, or how about this one? You've had so much childhood trauma that you're psychologically damaged and you're probably always going to struggle. Or you can recover, Tiffani, but this is going to be really hard work and you will need to put in years of expensive therapy. All of this was bullshit, folks. The reason I suffered for so many years was because no one pointed me towards any real solutions for my anxiety. I had to struggle and research for years to try to claw my way out of the pit I was stuck in. When I truly learned how the mind worked, I was able to recover from anxiety actually in a very short time. So this is why I created this channel, to help you find your way out of the pain of anxiety without all the years of struggle that I had to go through. So let's jump right in. So remember, one of the key concepts that I teach is that negative emotions are actually loving messengers from our subconscious mind, letting us know that something needs to heal or change. Now, sometimes those changes that need to occur actually involve practical steps that we can take to improve our external environment and even our self-care. So today we're going to talk about 5 things you might be innocently doing that make your anxiety worse and prevent your recovery. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is lack of sleep. Now, you might already know this, but maybe you're not taking it seriously, because research has shown that insufficient sleep plays a pivotal role in heightening anxiety levels. During sleep, our brains undergo critical processes that regulate emotions and help us cope with stressors. So when we don't get enough sleep, these mechanisms are disrupted, leaving us more vulnerable to anxiety triggers. So sleep deprivation directly affects the brain's amygdala. This is the region of the brain responsible for processing emotions. So when we are sleep deprived, the amygdala becomes more reactive to negative stimuli, amplifying our anxious responses. Simultaneously, the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in the rational thinking and emotional regulation, it struggles to function optimally. Now, this impairs our ability to manage our anxious thoughts effectively. And now this can become a vicious cycle, as anxiety itself can actually lead to difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep. So racing thoughts and worry can then keep us tossing and turning, just perpetuating the problem and further compromising our overall well-being. So most people will require 7 or 8 hours of sleep at night, and even more in the winter or during stressful times or even during illness. So if you struggle with anxiety, it's quite possible that you may actually require a bit more sleep. And I want you to know that that is okay. So here are a few tips for improving the quality of your sleep. First of all, try natural sleep aids like magnesium threonate, herbal sleep aids, or L-theanine. 2, stop viewing electronic devices and television before bed and try reading or listening to audiobooks instead. And make sure what you're reading and listening to isn't going to stimulate that fight or flight or trigger your anxiety. Also, try getting up and going to sleep at the same time every day if that's possible. This helps your body to fall into a natural circadian pattern. Using a satellite in the winter, which was created for those with seasonal affective disorder, is very expensive on Amazon and can be a real game changer. Now, in the winter, I set my alarm 10 minutes before I want to get up, and then I lie down on my side and I put this light right into my face with my eyes closed. And this helps me to revive and wake up, even the wintertime when you're usually tired because you have to get up when it's dark. This really helps me. Also, eat your last meal at least 4 hours before getting in bed, because digestion requires energy from the body, and this can keep you from sleeping soundly. And lastly, avoid caffeinated foods and beverages after 2 p.m. each day. This can overstimulate your system and keep you awake, even if you don't think that coffee or tea or chocolate is affecting you. Now, if you're struggling with sleep issues, be sure to check out my video, Sleep Meditation for Anxiety. You can also look in the description below for a link. So another factor that really keeps us from healing from anxiety are toxic relationships. Relationships play a significant role in shaping our emotions and perceptions of the world around us. And when they become toxic, they can become a breeding ground for anxiety. Toxic relationships are characterized by constant negativity, manipulation, and lack of emotional support. So being involved in such relationships can lead to chronic stress and a constant feeling of being on edge. Now, the emotional turmoil caused by toxic individuals can trigger or even intensify anxiety symptoms and make it challenging to find peace and balance in your life. This constant emotional turmoil and tension can keep your mind racing at night, making it difficult for you to relax and fall asleep. Now, remember, it's not just romantic relationships that can be toxic. Friendship, family ties, even workplace dynamics can also contribute to heightened levels of anxiety. In unhealthy social environments, we may be feeling constantly judged, invalidated, unsupported, and this can lead to a chronic state of anxiety and emotional distress. So setting boundaries in your life is crucial for your mental health. Seeking support from friends, family, or mental health professionals can provide you with guidance and a safe space to process your emotions and develop healthy coping mechanisms. Now, of course, my favorite, hypnosis. Hypnosis can help you gain the confidence you need to stand up for yourself and set healthy boundaries. This is because this lack of confidence and insecurity is often deeply rooted in the subconscious mind. And that's where it needs to heal, because that's where it was created to begin with. Hypnosis allows us to set aside our conscious mind and go right to the subconscious, where we can create rapid and lasting change. And now that brings me to lack of boundaries. In our fast-paced and interconnected world, boundaries seem to be fading away, leading to a significant rise in anxiety-related issues. Boundaries are the invisible but essential lines that define our emotional and physical limits, safeguarding our well-being and personal space. Now, when these boundaries are compromised or non-existent, the effects on anxiety can be profound and detrimental. So here are some boundaries that you should absolutely have in place in your life to protect yourself. Your brain needs to know that it can trust you to keep yourself safe. If it doesn't feel like you're going to do that, it's going to send anxiety to get you to take action. So the first set of boundaries I want to discuss here are emotional boundaries. Now, this is especially important for those who consider themselves empaths, or if you're one of those highly compassionate, sensitive types. So it's important that you distinguish between your own feelings and the feelings of those around you. Equally as important, it is for you to make sure that you're not giving others the power to direct your emotional world. Another set of boundaries that we should have in place are time boundaries. Having lack of boundaries often leads people to overcommit themselves, saying yes to more than they can actually handle. So whether it's at work or in social circles or with personal relationships, the constant pressure to perform and please others is just exhausting. It's like a weight of unrealistic expectations, and the fear of disappointing others actually fosters increasing anxiety, gradually pushing individuals towards burnout. And one for our modern age, social media boundaries. In a digital age where social media blurs the lines between public and private life, maintaining personal space has become more challenging than ever. There's a constant influx of messages, notifications, and demands, and it can make it difficult for you to disconnect and recharge. This constant intrusion can leave you feeling vulnerable and exposed, leading to heightened anxiety and just a sense of being constantly on. So next I want to talk about relationship boundaries. So do you catch yourself being caught up in people-pleasing behaviors? Or do you avoid expressing your needs and desires? Or maybe you tolerate mistreatment from others? So this fear stems from a deep-seated belief that setting boundaries will lead to rejection. But the right kind of people do not reject you for just expressing your emotional needs, nor do they mistreat you. As I mentioned before, allowing toxic people to terrorize you slows your recovery from anxiety and might actually be contributing to your anxiety to begin with. And lastly, I want to talk about self-care boundaries. So without proper boundaries, self-care often takes a back seat. So constantly prioritizing others' needs and neglecting your own can lead to physical and emotional exhaustion. Now, this is going to heighten your level of anxiety. So self-care is absolutely crucial for managing stress and anxiety. And without it, the cycle of anxiety only intensifies. So what are you going to do today to take care of yourself? So now we're going to leave our discussion of boundaries behind us. We're going to talk about some other things that make it difficult for you to recover from anxiety. So we're going to talk about sugar and processed foods. In today's modern society, the overconsumption of sugar and processed foods has become an alarming trend. The convenience and addictiveness of these products has led to a significant rise in various health issues, including anxiety. So now let's delve into how these dietary choices can actually cause and worsen your anxiety. So first of all, eating sugar and processed food can cause blood sugar spikes and crashes. Highly processed food and sugary treats causes a rapid spike in blood sugar levels. The initial surge might give you a temporary burst of energy, but this is often followed by a sudden crash. And this roller coaster ride of blood sugar levels can actually throw off your biochemistry and just push everything out of balance, leading you to feel irritable, restless, and can even induce panic as the body struggles to regulate itself. So these fluctuations can leave you feeling very emotionally unstable and vulnerable. Now let's touch on the connection between your gut and your brain. Emerging research has highlighted there is a significant connection between your gut and brain. The gut microbiome plays a crucial role in regulating your mood and emotions. So there again, the overconsumption of sugar and processed food actually disrupts the balance of gut bacteria, and this can lead to an increase in anxiety and mood disorders. Moreover, a compromised gut can hinder the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin, which are essential for you to maintain that feeling of emotional well-being. Eating excess sugar and processed devitalized foods can also cause inflammation and oxidative stress. Processed foods, especially those high in refined sugars, unhealthy fats and oils, can trigger inflammation within your body, and this chronic inflammation and oxidative stress has been linked to an increase in anxiety and depression. So consuming an excess of these foods over time can exacerbate these conditions, and it'll make it much more challenging for you to cope with stress and anxiety. And lastly, excessive sugar and processed food consumption can actually lead to nutritional deficiencies. A diet heavy in sugar and processed food lacks essential nutrients that you need for your brain health. So nutrient deficiencies, particularly in vitamins and minerals like B vitamins, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, all can adversely affect your mood and contribute to anxiety symptoms. So an inadequate intake of these nutrients will weaken your body's ability to handle stress and can even amplify feelings of anxiety and unease. And I'd like to mention one other thing: addictions and emotional eating. Sugary and processed foods can actually be addictive, and this can lead to a pattern of emotional eating. So people may turn to these foods as a way to cope with stress and anxiety temporarily. However, the relief is very short-lived. And then the guilt and shame that follows can further aggravate your anxiety symptoms. This can create a vicious cycle of emotional eating and heightened anxiety and even cause sleep disturbances. And as we mentioned before, eating sugary processed foods, especially close to bedtime, can disrupt your sleep patterns. And you already know that poor sleep quality or insufficient sleep has a direct link to increased anxiety and heightened stress levels. So when individuals fail to get that restorative sleep, their ability to cope with daily challenges, manage anxiety. So to foster that healthy mind and body, it really is crucial for you to adopt a balanced diet that prioritizes whole, nutrient-dense foods while minimizing the consumption of sugar and processed foods. And by doing so, you're actually going to be taking a positive step towards increasing your emotional resilience. Now I want to talk to you about substance abuse. So for many individuals, coping with anxiety leads them down a path of substance abuse. Now, sadly, while turning to these substances may offer temporary relief, it only perpetuates the anxiety, and this creates a vicious cycle that can trap you in a harmful loop. So understanding this complex relationship is absolutely vital for you to break free from the grip of substance abuse and address the underlying anxiety effectively. Now, why do people do this? Because you're trying to self-medicate. Anxiety can leave individuals feeling trapped, desperate for respite from this overwhelming emotional turmoil. So in an attempt to alleviate that distress, some people turn to drugs or alcohol as a form of self-meditation. Now, while substances provide a temporary escape from that grip of anxiety, and they offer a brief sense of calm and relaxation, unfortunately, this immediate relief comes at a significant cost, as continued substance use can lead to dependence, addiction, and that will exacerbate the very anxiety that you're trying to alleviate. Substance abuse also gives you a false sense of confidence and control. So one of the underlying drivers of substance abuse in individuals with anxiety is that desire for control. So anxiety often leaves individuals feeling powerless, vulnerable, and then substances may provide a sense of control over your emotions and circumstances. And many people drink in social situations to help them deal with their social anxiety and deep insecurities. But this is like putting a Band-Aid over an infected wound. The wound actually doesn't heal until the infection is eliminated. So how much better is it for you to deal with your underlying insecurities within your own subconscious mind where they originated? And that's what this channel is all about. So as substance abuse persists, your body and mind develop a tolerance to the substances. Now that requires higher and higher doses to achieve the same level of relief. Paradoxically, this escalating tolerance can intensify your anxiety during periods of withdrawal. And that will just compound your emotional distress, prompting you to continue to use substances so you can avoid those negative feelings. And this is vitally important. When you use substances to deal with your anxiety, you're failing to address the root cause. So substance abuse fails to address the root cause of your anxiety, and it often creates new anxiety triggers. The guilt, shame, secrecy that is associated with substance abuse can lead to increased levels of anxiety in social situations or when facing your loved ones. And also the consequences of substance abuse can generate anxiety about your future, which just compounds your emotional burden. And using substances to control and manage anxiety is like a negative reinforcer. So if you experience that temporary relief from anxiety by using substances, your brain begins to associate the substance with relief. Of course, this creates a cycle that can lead you to addiction. So this negative pattern will also prevent you from finding healthy coping mechanisms for your stress and prevent you from finding the true empowerment, it starts here, that leads to peace of mind. Transformational hypnosis can help you ingrain healthier thinking patterns. So by seeking help and facing these issues head on, you can overcome the anxiety that fuels addictive behaviors and drives your bad habits. And even more importantly, you can find that genuine peace of mind that does not require anything outside yourself to maintain. So I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. It is my sincere desire to help as many people as possible to break free from the stronghold of anxiety and freedom. And as I've said in other videos, I myself struggled horribly with anxiety and depression. So bad, in fact, that at one point I was too afraid to drive, to leave my house. And I can tell you, it was bad. And if I can recover, I know you can too. But the real game changer for me was when I began to work with the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind holds the key to your recovery. So if you'd like to learn more about transformational hypnosis, please reach out to me at tiffanicappello.com for more information. And please share this video with others who need to hear this important message. And if you're not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any upcoming videos on how subconscious reprogramming can help you find victory from your anxiety.